Never had to go live button, did it?
Aye.
Are we live?
We are live.
Yes. Welcome everybody to the Rangers Rabble. As usual, me making a cunt of it. Here's a wee surprise guest popping up. Hello, bro.
Yeah. Better late than never.
I know. Better late than never. Eh? Some of have got work today.
Right. Welcome right. To the Rangers Rabble.
Look at Ross is hosting. Look how nervous he is. Look.
Right.
Listen, Fashion Sakala's on the phone in, mate. Joined tonight by Marco. How are you, Mark?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. I'm nervous. I'm not usually the host, JD's.
You're cool, calm and collective. You're usually cool.
I'll come to you, JD. How are you, my man?
Good. Just a busy day, man. Just working till God knows when. There, I'm off on Monday, so just try to tie everything up before you finish there. So busy day, yeah. Looking forward to it. Not done a Friday for a long time.
And in the bottom left-hand window, it is not Ron Weasley in Harry Potter's cupboard, all right? It's Craig, the newest member of the Rabble podcast. Craigie, how are you, mate? Nice to meet you and have you on the pod.
Oh, good, mate. You?
Very good. Nice cutting insight there to introduce yourself to the people, Craig. Well done. So this is the phone-in show. I'll be opening the lines in 5 minutes. Big shout out to our sponsor, Zenith Coins. Go to their website, RR10, 10% off. Nice ceremonial coins. And listen, we're here to preview St Johnstone tomorrow. I was listening to the Clyde One phone in on my way along the road there, and they reckon Gio's living game by game. Mark, what says you to the Gio living game by game?
I think that's 100% right. I think that he's in a shaky peg. I think that you listen to his press conferences, and doesn't he sound like a confident man, does he?
No. Craigie, what's your thoughts on Gio? A new perspective to the pod. Don't just say that.
I hope the game's not tomorrow because I've got it down for Sunday, mate.
Sunday. Do you know what I mean?
He's off to a flyer.
Yeah, I'm not confident at all about Sunday. It's just whichever Rangers bothers to turn up. If it's the Liverpool, Ajax, Napoli one, we're knackered. If it's the Aberdeen one, we might have half a chance.
JD, you must be confident. We're going to pay after play St Johnstone. Come on.
I'm not actually, because St Johnstone are on no bad wee run. I don't know. I don't think I'm ever confident with this Rangers team right now, to be honest. But domestically, we're still hanging on to coattails, so I still fully expect us to win. Come on, fucking hell, we fully expect to win tomorrow. So it's just getting it. It is. I know what they're saying now, Ross. It is game by day, game by game, innit? It is. But it feels like if we lose tomorrow, if it is game by game, then it's almost like his last chance then. So at what point does he give himself some breathing space to not become game by game? So does he win tomorrow and wins the next 3 or 4 games, gets the World Cup 100% record? Surely that gives him a bit of breathing space then. Because right now we're still thinking about Europe and how terrible we've been and we've dropped some points in the league. If he keeps winning, then it can't keep being this game by game thing. I don't think no matter what, I don't think the fans are going to be happy anymore. I don't think.
Okay, that's a good point. So if we're looking at this, has he been a victim of the fact that we've maybe had a result at the weekend and then got hammered in the Champions League 6 weeks out of the last 8? Do you think that now, if he can go on a run in the league, then getting those results, the fans will back that? Craig, I did say Craig.
Yeah, I think JD's got a good point. I mean, if he does get to the World Cup 4 points or 2 points behind, then the board are going to look at it and go, well, we're in a pretty good position. We've got all these players coming back. I think the problem that people have got, and I've had it the last few weeks, is just the performances. Like, you go into every game thinking, is this the one where we're going to come a cropper? And Motherwell was like it. Dundee United was like it. Last weekend, obviously, was not. It was a really good result, but it was just that seems to be the anomaly, and it can't really be the anomaly anymore.
Perfect. Right.
Yeah, Ross, it feels like what Craig's saying there. See, we're so hot and cold. We'll draw a game or we'll drop some points, and then we'll give somebody a bit of a doing. But we don't have that consistency, and I think teams aren't scared of us. So yeah, we performed well against Aberdeen and got the result. We've done the same to Hearts, but there's been other games where we haven't, and I don't think we. Whereas I think the other half, or who we are chasing, I know folk will say it doesn't matter. It does matter about their results, right? And it does matter about their performances, because if they continue doing what they're doing, they'll win the league. So yeah. I just think that there's no fear factor about our club, and even though we beat Hearts and Aberdeen before goals and stuff like that, I think teams know if they're on it and they're on point and they're fast flowing and they're biting and they're coming at us. We're a bit lethargic, and that's where we can drop points. So we've kind of lost that fear factor and stuff. So we don't know who's going to turn up. That's probably the more issue. We don't know what team's going to turn up. Rangers, what one is it? Is it the slow, lethargic, lying and our bellies rubbed, or the one who's going to maybe try and do something and go and win 4-0 again?
Mark, I'm listening to JD there, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't care what Rangers shows up. If we win our personal battles, we should be beating 11 of the 12 teams in this league if we show up. Every team we play, there's a minimum 8 of our players would walk into their starting 11. Would you not agree with that?
Oh, yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think that there's an old statement that if you put in the exact same effort as the team that you're playing, then your talent should win you the game 10 times out of 10. So you need to match them. You need to match them for aggression. You need to match them for effort. And as I said, that's a must. That's a staple. If you're a Rangers player, you must get in about it. You must give 110%. But to be fair, looking at this team, that doesn't look like that's what's happening. It looks as if a lot of them are just trying to get by. As I said, I've said it before, it looks as if some of them are just trying to wait out Gio, thinking, you know what, I'll still be here, but you'll be getting sacked. Yeah, and just going back to the point earlier as well, I think that the problem is, I think Gio's lost the fans now. I don't think the fans are behind him now, so I think that's a massive issue. I don't know. I don't think he can get them back on side, even if he does start putting in performances.
Craig, I don't know if I agree with that. You're obviously new on, so I've not heard your opinions yet, and you've started off more negative than me, so that's a bonus for me. What is your Gio threshold? How much leeway are you giving him? And by the way, before we hang it, I've opened up the phone lines, and we'll so 0141 628 7237 if you want to come on and shout down the phone, probably, because that's what most these do. But Craig, sorry, I'll take that point to you.
I said to Mark before we came on that the problem is I've been so long a defender of Gio that the board haven't backed him, Ross Wilson hasn't backed him. He's had injuries, but there was a few weeks ago, I think it was the Livingston game, was the point was like, right, that's, to me, if the players can't get themselves up, there's obviously something going on behind the scenes. Too many of these players, and it's not just Gio, two of these players have had it for a little while, where I see they go into a game against Johnstone or whoever, Kilmarnock, and it's only Kilmarnock, we ain't got to really try today. And there's that complacency of, and there's two. The problem is you can get by with one or two of those performances, but if half your team's in that mindset, then like Mark said, you're not winning your battles, you're not putting the same effort in as the other player, as the opposition. And for me, if he gets to 7 points behind the other mob, then something has to be done.
I'm gonna cut in because you'll be surprised to know we have Curry Muncher on the phone, waiting to go. 2 wee seconds to remember how to do this now. Settings, audio, video, speakers, and we should be able to hear Curry Muncher now. Curry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, buddy. How you doing, lads?
Right, Curry.
I'm good,
Right, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you say, bud?
I'm just asking if the boys can hear you, mate. I don't want to make sure I've not made a mess of it. Right,
nah,
Curry.
You've done perfect, mate. Done perfect.
Right, give us it, Curry, what you got to say.
Well, I thought I'd come on and be my usual optimistic self, as you'll know how I always am. So, we'll go straight into I'm going to miss out the Champions League game because there's no point. because it was the exact same thing I've been watching for the last 8 weeks, for Rangers and how they perform in Champions League. The thing we've been talking about has been Giovanni van Bronckhorst. It's no if he's going to go, it's when he's going to go. He's not going to last next season. The performances that the team have put out have been abysmal. People paid a lot of money during the Champions League and also during the course of this season, and we've seen zero improvement on our side. We've seen nothing. The interviews that Tav gave after the game, saying that they weren't trying hard enough, that really scunnered me. And the thing today, another amazing interview for Giovanni van Bronckhorst today on who gets to pick players. He answered, but he never answered. It was as if he wanted to turn in and tell us, but he kept on. It was like a politician answer, really, wasn't it?
Hey, Curry, can I cut in and take that to the boys? JD, I see you leaning forward in your chair, mate. What's your thoughts on that point?
It's a hard one because I get what you're saying, Curry, and I agree. I 100% agree, but to put devil's advocate on it, you need to remember, this is this guy's job. So this is this guy's, that's how he provides for his family and pays his bills. So we've all worked and it's no different for any of us working in our job. You're not going to go and see things here. You all sat in meetings and sitting, you don't go out and see things against your bosses and the people who employ you and who pay you. So unfortunately, I think when it comes to football, it's the same. And these guys need to toe the line. We all toe the line to your bosses and stuff like that. And if you don't, when it starts to go down that, then you lose your job. And listen, these guys are millionaires, so that shouldn't really matter. But it isn't. You don't know people's scenarios or situations. So I felt like he was probably wanting to, and I felt that for Gio as well. Like, I think he says certain things, but his actions probably look a bit different. People he's played. I mean, there's been games where he's not played any signings and stuff like that. That tells you everything, right? But I think it's hard because these guys, this is his employer. Not many people go against their employer, really.
Craig, to go with that, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this because I've been arguing the point for ages that what Gio said today is what happens. It's a democracy where they all put their heads together and come up with who they're going to sign, and that's how it works, mate. What's your reading into that?
Yeah, I think gone are the days where the manager is in control of every single facet of the football club. That's just the way the football world is now. You got very few managers who pick every single player that they buy. Like we've said before, that he'll pick, I want to buy a left back, and they'll give him a list of 5 players, and it might be due to availability or suitability, work permit, that the 5th player is the one that gets the nod, and that person might be the one that Gio goes, actually, he weren't my first choice or my 4th choice, but I've got to take him because that's the one that they're buying, and then he has to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. He has to sort of work with it, and that's, I think that goes to some of the times when his team selections have been a bit like, hang on a minute, what's going on here?
Should that not test him then as a coach and a manager? Because his job is to get the best out of these players. So you've seen players who are average players become decent, good players. Fucking see it across the other side of the city all the time. So maybe that's where he falls down. Maybe his job is to get the best out of some players. And maybe he perhaps can't do that with his philosophy.
Yeah, there's certain players he probably can't do that with. And I said it earlier, that I think too many of them, it's the complacency. They turn up and go, oh, like some of them aren't being pushed for their place. Ryan Kemp being one, he can go, well, I'll turn in a 5 out of 10 performance this week because next week I'll play again.
Can I just jump in there as well on that point? I think rather than them progressing, they've regressed. I think the players have got worse this season. In fact, the whole year under Gio, I think they've progressively got worse and worse and worse. So for me, like like JD says there, that's his job. His job's to get the best out of these players. It's his job to coach these guys and try and play to their strengths. And for me, that's not what's happening. For me, they're getting worse and worse and worse.
Do you buy into that? Do you buy into that, Curry? If I bring it back to you, that Gio would, if you're going shopping and you're looking for one thing, and you get to the fifth thing on your shopping list, are you taking that, or are you just saving the money and wasting it? I think that's my issue. What's the point in buying for the sake of buying? Could you go along with that, Curry?
I agree with you, mate. If players are not good enough, they shouldn't be coming to this club. As simple as that. I'd much rather see money getting put away and invested for somebody that might come up in the winter or the next start of next season. We say, why are you going to pick somebody that fills in a place but is nobody fit into the Rangers style of football? And I think that's what's happened. We've got a bunch of players still for Gerard's tenure, and GVB is trying to fit him into his style of football. And I think that's why your performances are so bad, is because we've still got players that want to play the fast style, doing the wings, hitting teams fast before they can get a chance to get a settled back 10 or whatever they're playing. That's the problem. As a player, I love the guy. Absolutely love the guy. But as a manager, I'm sorry, he is just no good enough. He's just not good enough. I think we all said when he came in, he was on an upgrade. But he's no. The performances alone are proof that he's no good enough. And the results in the Champions League, did we expect to win any games? Maybe no. We certainly didn't expect to end up with the worst record in history in the Champions League. And that's where he needs to sort of die by the sword. I'm sorry. And that's sorry, on you go, bud.
And I think that's a point, JD. We never expected to go and win the Champions League group. I don't even think many of us expected to get Europa League out of the teams we were in with. But we expected to compete and at least be hard to beat, did we not?
That's a bare minimum, mate. You want to pick up some points at home against MD, against everybody. You want to pick up points at home. You want to prove to teams that with Ibrox behind you can do that. I was one of the stupid ones that thought Liverpool would finish second and we'd be a shout for if Liverpool would finish first and we'd be in a shout for second when I seen that league. I totally underestimated how good Napoli were. And I still think we are a more attacking minded Rangers team. We could have done something. We could have got points against Ajax. The first game caught us cold, and that we've never recovered for that. The Ajax game away, we have never recovered for that, and that's the problem. Is we don't have a board with any balls to make these decisions, and whether it's financial or not. But it's not. I mean, with all the money flying about, and I know they're telling us we don't have money. It's not going to cost us a lot of money to sort it. So they have a bit of balls. They use the Champions League, the downfall of the Champions League as an excuse to say that's not good enough. We don't accept that, and they get rid of the manager. Because I think with another manager, a lot of these players have ran their course, but I still think with another manager, even in the short term, it could make a difference to these type of players, and that could be the difference of us not winning the league or whatever, but it could be the difference of us getting more money for certain players. Do you know what I mean? Get somebody gets Kamara back on and making Kamara the player he was maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. That's the difference between getting 2 million to fucking 8 million for a boy. That's the difference.
Right, Curry, before I let you go, I've got a stat up here for Gallant. So on aggregate, we lost 7-1 to Ajax, 6-0 to Napoli, and 9-1 to Liverpool.
Fucking shocking.
If that isn't disguised in a group, and that's across 2 legs in a knockout tie, that's brutal, is it not?
Brutal, and we're forgetting about the score aggregate against that mob that you can put into that as well. Yeah. So on that alone, he should not be here. the one thing before I go, mate, right? The one thing I did want to say is Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is not the only one to blame here.
No.
The players that are not putting in performances, as we heard from Tavernier, saying, we didn't try hard enough. But also, a huge one is on Wilson.
Yep.
Giovanni Van Bronckhorst turn around and say, we could be looking at getting 10 new players for next season. Wilson categorically turned around and tell us all that would never ever happen at Rangers again under his watch. And it took one fucking season for it to happen. So it's some audit need to be sorted out, because the money that everybody spends and the passion that we have for this club deserves better. And if they're not good enough, just go. We don't want you here. You've destroyed your club in 12 months. Right, so on that happy note, I'll let you go, guys.
Corey, thanks very much.
All the best, Corey.
Look after yourself, guys.
Bye, mate. Bye.
Ross,
Cheers.
see Curry's point there about the money. I've even felt myself, listen, I don't spend thousands, right? But I still spend money. I've even felt myself going like that. I'm not buying a strip. Farcical, not buying the strips this year because of the joke of what happened. Even more so now, how batshit it's went. There's got to be a way where the fans have their voice. And I know we do it on here. We've been calling it out for months. And the fans can boo and all that. But I think if you start hitting the pockets, and if they see a massive shift, then they're going to need to do something.
Yep. JD, I'm going to cut you, mate. So we've got another caller. Try and get through as many as we can. 2 wee secondos. I'm not as smooth at this as Martin, boys, I must admit. But hey, we're living and we're
Never
learning.
heard Martin be called smooth.
No, absolutely not. No, he's patter anyway. Hello, caller.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Who's this?
It's John, Ross. How you doing? All right?
No bad, John. How are you, pal?
Brand new, man. Hi. Hi, everybody.
All right, John.
How we doing, buddy?
Right, what's your point
Brand
for
new.
point for the panel, John?
It's just about, right, we got the Europa final last year. How much does the panel think it was Gio that got us there? Or do you think we were still playing the Gerard way? And now in Europe, I think he's ripped the heart right out of Rangers. What does the panel think about how, was it Gio that got us to the Europa final last year, or was it the team still knew how to play the Gerard way in Europe?
Mark, I'm going to bring that to you, mate. And in my opinion, Gerard's fitness seen it through a couple of the other ties. But what about yourself, mate? What's your opinion?
Can I agree with you to a certain extent? I think we got a wee bit of bounce from Gio coming in, and obviously with the fitness, I think I agree with that as well. But I don't know. It's a. At the end of the day, he got us there. He was the manager when we went there, and to be fair, when Gerard left, we'd started coming down the way. We'd started a wee bit of downturn. So you've got to give a man credit for that, as much as it probably pains us to say it, but you've got to give him credit. But I think that you're probably right as well. I think that we did still play quite similar to the way Gerard played. I think we were transitioning, and I think that now he's so-called get his own players in, and he's changed to his style. It's just got worse. It's no fun to watch at all. But I think with the Champions League, we've properly got found out here. I think tactically, I think with desire, I think positionally, I think we've properly looked at our depth, and it's embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. So, yeah, I think you've got to give him credit. I think he did, but I think there was extenuating circumstances with, obviously, we were really, really fit under Gerard, really fit, and we knew how to play in Europe. We'd spent like 2 or 3 years progressing in Europe and getting better and better and better. So there is a bit of both. But at the end of the day, Gio was a manager when we went there, so you've got to give him credit for that. Craigie,
do you go along with that?
Yeah. If Gerard stayed, do I think we'd have made the Europa final? Absolutely not. I don't think we'd have got out the group stage if Gerard had stayed. But would Gerard have lost the league? I don't think he would. I don't think he would have lost the league if he'd have stayed. So there's two flips of the coin there. Gerard's fitness definitely was key. Gio was more tactically adept than Gerard, in my opinion, in terms of playing Dortmund at home when we were being battered, and he flipped it to 3 at the back and stifled them second half. Some of the games where he set us up to sort of contain for the first leg and then bring them back to Ibrox. So he has to get massive credit for me, and that run will be. Yes, we didn't win the whole thing, and it was 1 penalty kick out of 10 that was rubbish out of the 10. But Gio has to get massive credit. But unfortunately, he's had a summer then with the players embedding his tactics, and players that are a year older or 2 years older in some cases than when they're at the peak. Arfield, Davis, McGregor. I mean, I can't remember the last time that McGregor dived for a shot. He seems to just be stood still, and I think that's his. It's not just his fitness. I think it's his mental reaction time is shot. So you're asking the players to change tactics, have a summer with. When Gio came in, he never really had a break. The only break he had was post winter when we seemed to flop again. So anytime he's had any massive time with the team to embed his tactics, he's come a bit stuck. Whereas playing every 3 days, he was sort of thrown into having to keep playing the same way.
JD, you're somebody that always talks about Gio in Europe, and I said to you before, if we played Dortmund with an Erling Haaland, we probably don't get to the final. You're a big believer in Gerard having Celtic's number, which Gio definitely doesn't have. Yeah. So when you think about that 6-point swing in the league with 2 games against Celtic to play after Gio came in, do you think that there is a chance Gerard would have won the league last year?
Well, Craig's saying that, right? And I'm shaking my head going like, no, because history would have proved that we would have fucking bottled it. But it's a fair point, mate. It's a fair point, and it's ifs and buts in it. You can sit here and dream, and there's other years going by. You'd sit and greet air still. As for the Van Bronckhorst thing, we were a fast-flowing, attacking football team. And I agree with Mark. See, when Van Bronckhorst came in, he's been like, fucking get the shackles on these boys. But it's no been, he couldn't just do it for day 0 to day 1. So he's had to allow it to a transition. But that transition got us through Europe because his wee shackling moments helped us keep clean sheets and helped us defend well. But we still had the attacking free-flowing football we've seen in Dortmund. And that was a hybrid that perhaps Gio should have went like that. Wow, I fucking want to watch here.
Yeah.
And I loved him as a player, but the boring wee bastards just get so negative during the summer that we are now not that same team because we had the fitness, the attacking football, and the defence. We had it all. But we didn't have it. We don't have any. We don't have it now. So I think the hybrid of the two of them would perhaps have done it. Would we have won the league? I don't know. They were a juggernaut, man. My issue was we should probably have been more than 6 points clear at the start of that.
We should have been.
They
were honking.
Yeah, that falls on the other side. We were too complacent, and I think that was a all over the Gerard and Beale era, a complacency. And I know we scooshed it 1 year, anomaly. But aye, that's the annoying thing. But let's not agree to spilt milk. That happened. Our problem is now, my gut says, and might not like this, we need to draw a line through this season and accept that the inevitable is going to happen. Does any one of us see us winning the league this year? How does that turn around? We've not seen anything from Van Bronckhorst or his coaching staff to say, right, okay, stop that, let's do this. He's got his philosophy and that's it.
Yep. Got to take that back to the caller. I can't even remember your name because I'm fucking about 30 things going on. It's John, isn't it? Was it John?
John Ross, aye, very interesting points for all the boys, man. Cheers, man. Thanks very much, man.
John, thank you very much for calling in, my friend. And
cheers, John.
We will catch up with you later date.
Like John.
John was good.
John
was good, mate. I'm trying to remember how to do this. There we go. If you can see my confused face, it's because I'm trying to flick in and out of apps to try and get the calls to work. So,
Ross, can I pull this one up because I think it's a good one?
Of course you can, mate.
Gallant Pioneer saying that. Do you know what? Spot on. this time last year, Celtic, we were all sitting saying we've fucking scooshed this league.
Yeah.
But they had a manager who was about to sort things out. That maybe perhaps what we need to do then.
Mark, do you think there is a way that Gio sorts this out? Do you think if we can limp on to the international break and get him a month working with the squad, get some of the players back fit, do you see there being any way we turn this around?
I don't think so. I think I've said that a million times on here. See, when the slide starts, I don't think there's any way back. There's very, very few managers when the slide starts they can change that around. A very, very few. I think that for a start, I think he's lost some maybe not all of the players, but he's lost some of the players. But he's definitely lost the fans. And for me, once the slide starts, there's no way back. It only ends one way. And I've said that a million times. Rip the plaster off and just let's get somebody in with fresh ideas that can freshen it up and take us forward. All right, it might be expensive, but what's our alternative? Our alternative is we are just going to go through this for the rest of the season. And look, there's more than half a season left here. There's months and months and months. So, I mean, does any of us want to watch this for the next 4 months?
Yeah. Just before, we've got Brian on the phone, but just before I bring him in, Craig, do you believe with months and months and months of the season left that there's no way we turn this around? But thinking that we've got a month's World Cup break coming up and the opportunity to get players like your Lawrences and stuff like that back?
My heart says, yeah, we can. With Rangers, we can fucking do it. We can get the players back and we can batter them. And I can honestly see a situation, and I don't want to say it, but we beat them twice and still lose the league because we're going to fall down against the other teams. We're going to fall down against the teams that we go in thinking, oh, it's only St Johnstone, and we get caught out.
See, under Gerard, I thought that we beat Celtic, but we'll drop points. I'm not so sure now. I think we'll drop points off every day, but we still, recently I've been looking at we play bad and still win. But I think my worry is Celtic have got our cards marked, and that's because we are so slow in our intensity and they are so high in theirs. There's only one outcome with that. I don't think a team with such slow defensive intensity are ever going to overcome that in-your-face attitude.
JD, I'm going to cut you there because I'm going to bring Brian in. He's been waiting for a couple of minutes. So, hello, Brian. Can you hear us?
Evening, guys. How are we?
How are you doing, mate?
Welcome,
Welcome back to the Rabble phone-in. What have you got to give us tonight, Brian?
I'll tell you, I was listening to Curry, I was listening to yourselves, and I mean, I'm in work, I'm bored. I decided I'll delve into some figures and looking at stats, and I think Pedro's stats were like 50% or 45% win rate. Gio's is about 50, and we all wanted Pedro's head. So what's the difference from Gio? Is it because he was a Rangers player, or does the Rabble not think maybe it's definitely time to go?
Craig, I'll bring that to you. What's your opinions on that? Is it getting him some grace that he used to play for the club?
I think there's that, but I think a lot of the fans have given him we got to the Europa final. That's what's giving him a lot of credit in the bank, and that credit is slow. I mean, I said again before, I've been putting up for he's done a good job, and this has hindered him. But it's the last few weeks. It's not enough, and I think that's just. I mean, if we hadn't won the Scottish Cup, I think he could have been out of the job in the summer.
It's a bold statement, Mark. Do you go with that?
Yeah, I've got to agree. But for me, I think that the only way we can make a fist of this season is by getting the plaster off, getting them away, and bringing somebody in that's going to freshen things up. Well, you get a bounce straight away.
Sorry, Brian, were you coming in there?
I don't think we can catch them. I really don't. I think it was JD who was talking there. Their intensity, their fitness levels. I mean, I listened to him the other night after the game, and he was talking about how Ajax are a bigger club and etc. etc. You're a professional footballer. You're an athlete. That's nothing to do with a £10 million player, a £1 million player. Your fitness level should be at the same level.
Yeah.
Of course it should. And JD, that is the worry for me. We spoke a wee bit about it the other night on the pod, that even your personal pride as a player, if you're Alfredo Morelos, surely you look at yourself and your own personal pride, especially when you're going to be on the dole next summer and you're trying to get yourself a new club. Because let's be honest, I don't think he's going to get a new contract here on the deal he would want, JD.
Nah, I think all characters are different, though. I think sorry, this is my dinner getting arrived.
Here you go, your servant.
Thanks, babe.
And I'm going for you to
Right, shut up. Sorry. Shut the door.
Brian,
I think everybody's different though, so people's characters are different. So that me and you might think, you know what, your professional pride, but you've seen players pass their careers against a wall all the time. Morelos might, I mean, I'd hate to say this because I love him. Morelos might be one who just dwindles away now. He does look a bit heavy. He doesn't look fit. Why is that? Why is he not lean? Why is he not lean and ready to go in this moment? And I don't get it. So I'm not sure. I'm totally through with her bringing that up there. Sorry.
Brian, what's your opinion on the whole Morelos thing? I put my head on the plate and said that I don't think him or Kent will ever play in the Champions League again. I reckon they go to clubs. I reckon they go to clubs now that don't play Champions League football. I don't think they'll get to this level again.
I think Kent and Morelos have got championship written all over them.
Yep.
That's just my opinion. I don't think a manager with any right mind would give him or give it either one or two of them 40-50 grand a week. I mean, if I'm a right back, I'm licking my lips every time I see Kent running at me because you know exactly what he's going to do. That's not Champions League level.
Unless you're James Tavernier, who can't run to catch you at the moment, I suppose.
No, I think Kent and Morelos will maybe go, I don't know, Huddersfield, something like that. QPR, that's why Beale was there last week, maybe.
I said that. I think Morelos and Kent. Imagine QPR getting them two in a free. Let's be honest, I know they're doing in their luck now, but they're pushing for the Prem. Kent and Morelos could get a wee backdoor entry into the Prem here by going there in a free in the summer, or them spending maybe what would you get in January for Kent and Morelos? $1 million each?
Couple of million if you're lucky, aren't you?
Yeah.
I see you, Craig, reckon 2 mil. Do you reckon get 2 mil for each of them?
2 mil if we're lucky.
I don't see anybody offering any. I don't see anybody offering money for them.
17 million we got offered for Morelos, remember?
Aye, but that's a different Morelos, mate. This guy's a different guy.
True.
He's had his nose put out since the summer.
Was that a year ago? Every single time.
Gallant, that crunching noise could possibly be JD eating his dinner, mate. I'm not going to tell you any lies. Have you got
one more thing?
I was going to say that. Have you got any other points, Brian, before I let you go?
Do we think that the players have just packed it in, or is it down to Gio's tactics and his training sessions? Because there's something not right. So there must be one or the two. It can't be both.
Mark, is it the players that chucked it? Are the players down tools to get rid of him?
I think that the players aren't happy with the tactics. So it's a kind of a mixture of both, really, because if you're not happy at your work, you're not going to perform. But see if they're loving tactics and loving the way they're playing and they're playing with a smile on their face, they're going to perform. So for me, and that was a big thing with Gerard and Beale as well, that they wanted them to play with a smile on their face and enjoy what they've done. But that for me is what it looks like. It looks like they're like to themselves amongst them. I don't want to play like this. Like Tavernier, Barisic, I don't want to sit back. Kent going like that. I don't want to just when I get the ball, I need to stay wide. And do you know what I mean? So I don't think that they've chucked it per se. I think that they're no happy with the tactics, and I think that shows on the park that they're no happy. Because as I said, if they're happy, they're going to be playing well. Simple as that.
Craig, I'm of the opinion, I've said this on the pod a few times, if I know my contract is up at the end of this working year and I'm working for a wee backyard garage, and I'm not saying Rangers are a wee backyard garage, I'm talking about the money we can pay along with the other teams that could be interested in them. And a company like, I don't know, for talking's sake, Tesla are looking for mechanics and there's a chance they're going to take me there. Surely I'm getting myself at least in the best physical shape and putting in the most effort that I can. Surely if there's, as I say, you're going to be on the dole in the summer unless you get something. So this is the difference between these guys maybe getting a championship move on 20 grand a week or getting that lower half of the Premiership move on 40, 50 grand a week. Surely, even if you're unhappy with the manager, you're still, putting in that effort.
Well, you'd like to think so. I think like Morelos has had his nose put out of joint since the start of the season. For me, he's had 3 or 4 years of being the big dog at Rangers. He's the main man, never gets dropped, and now somebody's come in who scores more goals than him, and he's like, well, his nose has been put out of joint. He don't like it. When you'd think that would be a fire under his belly, he'd be like, right, I'm going to get my place back, but you don't know what goes on in his mind. Kent, for me, has basically been an empty shirt for 6 months. He's riding on the crest of a wave of his European games last season. It's funny that the game the other night was the first game he put a bit of effort in, because he's probably thinking, this is the last game I'm going to get seen for a little while. I need to put my name out there. Yeah. And where's that Ryan Kent been for the last 5 games in Europe?
What I would say, Ross, though, and Graham had said it, see managers, see when these football players are professional, they're in that club now. They will always get a job. Now, an English team in the Prem will happily pay Morelos 40 grand to be the third choice striker.
Yeah.
With the hope that on a free transfer, something happens and he starts scoring goals and they've found a gem. And I think the same will happen with Ryan Kent. And I think they will end up an English champ, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe have a wee season or two, flip and flop with a chance in the Prem, or Morelos goes to Spain or something like that, or Kent goes to Germany. But I think managers will always have a chance, and they will always make big money somewhere now. I do think they will make more money than we are on the now.
Look at Cedric Itten, running riot.
Oh, there's a few. Brian, I'm going to let you go, mate, because we've got Gary trying to get through. All right, thanks very much for calling us up, and make sure you call again in the future, all right?
All best.
Cheers, Brian.
Now, we had Gary trying to call in, so Gary, if you want to give us a phone back. Oh, there we go, straight to Gary, boys, all right? Gary, welcome to the Rabble phone-in, pal. What's your point for us?
How's it going, boys? Basically, I thought apart from the Champions League, but obviously it was a big letdown this season. There's no two ways about that. You can't sugarcoat it. But I thought against Aberdeen, I thought we showed promise, and again it's going back to just the other week. But then the whole thing with that, I think that the players showed some determination. And the injury, the whole thing with the injuries. I mean, I've never seen as much injuries in such a short space of time, to be honest.
I'm gonna raise you there. Do you remember about this time last year when we were slagging off Celtic and all the injuries they were getting, putting it down to the intensity of their playing stuff, and they came back for that to win the league. So I suppose my point I'm going to ask you, Gary, is again, once we start getting these injured players back, can we not go on a run?
Well, that's what I thought. See, when we get our heel squad back to the way it is, like everybody coming back from injury, I think that we could. And the heel thing is, all right. The game against Livingston, that was shocking, and it really was. I mean, anybody that went to the game, it was just, and even watching it on the telly, it was just unbelievable. But then the whole thing, we're getting all the players back that are injured. That's one thing. I still think we'll win the league. Again, a lot of people will sit there and say, well, we're 4 points behind them, and obviously, well, the rest, there's a lot of negativity about the club now. But you've got to take some positives. I mean, away for the Champions League, just away for that entirely. I mean, we actually showed for the first time this season, in my opinion, against Aberdeen, to be honest, I thought it should have been 6 or 7 goals. And Alfie came off. I mean, I think, see with the squad now, I think it's just lacking in confidence with players being out in that. I think that's what it is.
Mark, yeah, you go along with that? Do you reckon with a crisis of confidence?
Oh, definitely a crisis of confidence. I mean, you can see that ripping at them. Absolutely ripping at them. But I don't know. I mean, I like his positivity there, but I can't see it. As I said, for me, it's took us how many months to get to that Aberdeen performance this season so far. So for me, it's even a broken clock's right twice a day. You know what I mean? It's we know they're capable of that performance. They've just not done it. So I mean, they've built a wee performance out, and but they need to do that consistently. See if they can do that consistently for the rest of the season. Well, I'll back you at a hilt. But I don't feel that that's the case because over the course of the season so far, that's not been the case. They've been very, very inconsistent. They've been half decent and a half, rotten in another half decent and for 15 minutes a game. So, as I said, they've put one good result and one good performance out of hat. So for me, it's not enough. If they do 100%, I'll be over the moon if that's the case.
Gary, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Gary, I would say beating Hearts 4-0 and beating, was it Ross County 4-0, 4-1 earlier on the season. We've had 3-4-0 simply this season. Scored four goals 3 times. So surely they come under good performances in the league, beating teams 4-0. Would you agree with that, Gary?
I totally agree. I think that we've got to take some positives away for obviously this season up to now. I think the Motherwell game was shocking. It was unbelievable the first half. I mean, you could have sat there and fell asleep. It was that bloody boring. And then you've got the like say Livingston, which just, I mean, even the first game when we played Livingston, it was just a big letdown. But then and then maybe Hibs when we played Hibs at Easter Road. I mean, to be honest, that was due to the ref having a bit of a shocker as well. But then it still doesn't matter. It was still just not good enough. But then the whole thing with that, you've got to sit there and say, I mean, the injuries have no help. I'm not making that an excuse for the way that we've been playing, but certainly, I mean, we've just got to make sure that we're consistent up to the break anyway, and just keep putting performances. And it's going to be a hard one, especially with St Johnstone on Sunday, because it's always a hard game. Well, when I say it's always a hard game, it's not always a hard game. But then you reckon what St Johnstone side is going to turn up. So, but mind you can also say that well. You reckon what team what side's going to turn up, but we bloody go as well. That's the thing. But certainly, I mean the VAR. What's your thoughts on this VAR?
I'll hand that over to you, Craigie. What's your early initial thoughts on the VAR system in Scotland?
Well, I was half expecting it to go tits up about half an hour into the first game, so it's done well so far. I think it's needed. Why they couldn't bring it in at the start of the season, only people at the SFA will know. It hasn't really been very controversial yet. I mean, we had a penalty last week that was a penalty. They had a couple of penalties in the Hearts game. Nothing really's gone haywire like we're all expecting it to. There's no conspiracy theories out yet, but we'll see how it goes. It was needed, absolutely needed. Seeing it in the Premier League and in Europe was it's made that. Yes, there's some annoyances with it. It takes too long, but ultimately, if he gets the right decision, it gets the right decision.
JD, on the VAR front, I'm looking at what VAR looks like to me as a fan watching it. There's surely no way that shouldn't have been implemented at the start of the season. You stick an extra 6 cameras in the stadium and have a wee telly.
Listen, I agree with that 100%. I mean, that's when it comes to the SFA again, though. I mean, they're bloody corrupt, that bunch there. They couldn't bloody. They're no helpful in the slightest. I mean, the whole thing with that, surely bloody God, that they should be able to put VAR in at the start of the season. I think it's an awfully weird thing putting it on just coming up to the whole Christmas period. I think that's rubbish, absolutely rubbish.
I take your point, Gary. Have you anything else to give us, Gary, before I let you go?
No, listen, I just wanted to, well, my last point is not really a point, but I just keep up the good work. I'm loving watching it, and as much as sometimes the performances isn't great, I still enjoy listening to the podcast.
Good.
Cheers, Gary.
That's the aim of the pod, mate. And that's the thing I like about this pod. We keep it real, whether we win, lose, or draw. So thanks very much for your call, Gary. I'll go so that we can clear the lines up in case anyone else wants to call in, pal.
Well, listen, we are the people.
We are. Cheers, pal. JD, we are the people. What's your thoughts on that? While I try and find out how.
Well, the one thing I was going to, if I couldn't get my chicken picor out my gob there, I was going to say that Gary was awful confident about winning the league, and I've just not seen it this year, and we have had a good few performances, but get all our players back, we're still playing this system, and I never thought I'd be one of the, and I used to watch, you watch England, right, English Prem, and these teams who are flying high, best players in the world, Tottenham a bit right now, right, they're all fucking starting to grumble a bit. I know a Tottenham fan, they're all grumbling about Conte, one of the best managers in the world, and you're a bit like, what, you've everything you've ever wanted, right? I know they don't win anything, but I feel a wee bit like that now. Like we're there and thereabouts. We go to a European final, second in the league, we're nearly there, but that's not good enough for our club. So people might look at us and go, well, he's getting rid of him for he's got to a European final, you won the Scottish Cup last year. It's not good enough for our club to start like this. So it is conflicting a wee bit, and I get what he was saying in the last call, but bring all our players back all we want, but those players will be still forced to play this methodology of football, and it's fucking boring, man. Horrible to watch.
I seen a comment I wanted to pull up, Mark. I'll bring to you, friend of the channel, Stacey. Gio's had a year and still can't win convincingly in the league. I'm going to go back to that point again. Beating Hearts 4-0, beating Aberdeen 4-1. They've got to be convincing wins, haven't they? They've got to be. As much as the performances have not been great, you're not going to get much more convincing than going to Tynecastle.
No. But for me, it's not. Look, the consistency is not there. Can take that. Yeah, that's. But the problem is it's so flip-flop. It's from one extreme to another. I mean, we've been hitting the balls into corners last 10 minutes against like the likes of Motherwell and stuff like that. It's just we should not be doing that. I don't care who you are. I mean, he sits there in his press conference and talks about the disparity from the amount of money that they spend in the Champions League. We are the same compared to your Motherwells and your St Johnstones, but why are all of a sudden we pinging balls into corners and trying to hold on as they're bombarding us? I mean, if they can do it to us, why can we not do it to other teams in the Champions League?
Here's a point, right? If we don't win this league, do you think Van Bronckhorst is going to come out and say Celtic have got a bigger budget than us?
No.
JD, can I cut in just a minute? We had a call there for a caller ending 017. I missed it. I was too busy talking. If you want to give us a call back, we'll get you on. Sorry, continue with your point.
No, just a point. Like, listen, they've got a bigger budget than us. Is he going to come out and say that about the SPFL? Oh, we finished second. We're happy with that. Celtic got a bigger budget. No, nobody's going to accept that. Nobody wants that. So don't pick and choose when you want to use it. And I get the Champions League are a different kettle of fish, right? And I get these teams are on a different elite level. But we just ask you to run those yards. That's all you're asked today. Run the yards. We can't be going into Champions League games and running 5k less than a team that beat you 3-0. Because really, see the team that beat you 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 7-1, they're the ones that don't need to run. So why are these teams outrunning us when they're passing the ball around us? We should be running.
And that's a thing I don't understand, Craig. It's been a staple of their Champions League campaign that these teams that are dominating possession
run more,
are running more than us who are chasing. Doesn't make any sense to me.
No. I sat there last season watching us get to Europa games, extra time, then playing the next game, extra time, and running and running and running. We made Celtic look like they're a fucking pub team, that semi-final. The clip that went round of Bassi out running their player and their players chasing him like he can't get any of him. And that's after 120 minutes on the Thursday night. And now this season, it's like they're all running through treacle. I just don't understand there's obviously not been much fitness work done. And yet this is the team that, yes, it was a friendly, but absolutely battered West Ham in a friendly in the summer. And we're thinking, oh, happy days, we're on to one here. And then now suddenly over the summer, it's just, I don't know what's going on.
I'm going to butt in, boys, so we can go to our next caller, who is on the line. Hello, caller. Who's that?
All right, Ross. Hiya. It's Mark here.
How you
All right,
doing,
guys.
Mark? All right.
All right,
Mark.
Go, Ross.
On you go, mate. Give us your point.
All right. I think it's a nightmare I knew for Rangers fans. I can that. But I think basically what Mark's saying about the slippery slide, it's right. Because if in sport, if you have a goal and you reach that goal, then the eye's off the prize then. So it's always going to be a slippery slide for there. And your eye on the prize is 55. So Gerard was brought in for that was the remit. Stop the 10. So we actually done that. So like that's where it all starts falling down. And what happened was Gio came in when Gerard went, and we got the bounce, and his tactics helped in Europe, which masked everything on the slippery slide. So I think 55 was what we wanted as fans. So if every fan wanted to stop 10, so that was the whole goal for where we were to where we got to. And I think this is all just a big hangover after this.
JD, do you agree with that? I know that we've spoke before and said the likes of your Tavs and your Kents and whatever else came here to win 55 and that was mission done. But surely, again, personal pride means you set new goals and go again. And the first one had to be retaining.
Aye. But I think such a bit... Listen, we say 55, right? And it was 55. It was all about stopping the 10. And people might not like to hear that. It was all about stopping 10. And it was. And of course, it made 55, which was brilliant. But Kerr said it all last year. At the start of last season, that was the time to change your squad. Because these players, the management team and all, were brought in to do that job, and they done it. Now, it might even have been Gerard to say, you know what, I'm going to walk away here. I've done it. I've done what I came to do. But all the players the squad should have get overhauled in that moment. And it's never. And we're actually still got this. We're approximately still got the same squad just now. And what the caller's saying, it's a hangover. It's a massive hangover, man. I'm telling you. And it's continued since then because that was the pinnacle for a lot of those players, and that was the aim, and they achieved their goal.
And Craig, a quote Gerard gave us when we won 55 was, "You're better to fix the roof while the sun's shining rather than wait until it's pissing down." With a squad, it seems to me as if our park's in 3 feet of water. Yeah, go along with that.
Yeah, JD was right. That was the Everest for some of those players. That was the mission to stop the 10 and get 55. For me, that team, looking back, hindsight's a wonderful thing. That team should have been recycled. The likes of Kamara, Kent, even Alfie should have been moved on, and we should have reset. I know there was a big thing about Gerard not wanting any players sold. That's obviously something that has come back to bite us because then he didn't get the Champions League. He should then have been. He had too much say in that sense. The board should have been like, no, we need to get rid of whoever to sort of balance the books. And we sort of still getting the hangover of that. We're still going players who are now 4 or 5 years after they started with Rangers are still playing in the Champions League. Your Arfields, your Davis, they should be. There's a role for them at the club, but they should not be starting Champions League games at the age of 37 and 34.
Do you go ahead? Do you go along with that, Mark? Do you agree with what Craig's
Aye,
saying there.
no, aye. It's just as Rangers fans, we're all greeting the new. It's up and down, isn't it? The results that came Aberdeen there, is it masking everything? I think it's just a perfect storm we're going through now because there's the problem with Alfie. Remember when there was the fallout and the bit in the squad, so I think there was a divide in the dressing room. Gio, in fact, like I played football as well, and if my manager turned around and says you're not good enough at this level, I ken it's Champions League level, but that's you're on a downer. You're on a downer, so he's got his faults there as a manager. The way he's saying things to the team, he's saying it out in public, and that's something that should have just been in the dressing room. Shouldn't have come out.
And I've got to say, take that to Mark on the panel. It's been a big bugbear, Mark. A lot of people talking about it after that first game against Ajax. We can't compete with teams on this level. Is that when the rot set in with the Champions League and people really thought we're just here to make up the numbers, be the whipping boys?
I think you can't as a Rangers manager come out and say that. I mean, for me, when you listen to Gio, I'll ask, can I knock back this as a question? Can any of you see Gio inspiring or motivating anybody in that dressing room? Can you see him having a rebel-rousing speech and firing, getting the guys fired up and getting them running out there ready to rock and roll and ready to get tore in? Because I can't. But you can't be seen to be coming out and saying stuff like that. Because obviously the players are all hearing that. So the players are all going, well, that's us. Well, we're all right. That's where get out of jail free card. So for me, it should never. Things like that should never come out of Rangers manager's mouth. Even if he agrees with it and that's what he thinks, I think that you shield the players first and foremost for that. But for me, I can't see him motivating anybody at all. And to be fair, that statement's demotivated people.
Mark, you're spot on, because the whole point of that statement is saying we are not good enough regardless. And that's it. What he should have said, and perhaps Gerard would have said, and the other man would have said, is we were fucking terrible tonight. We are 100 times better than that.
We're better than that. 100%.
Better than that.
Yes.
So-and-so were shocking tonight.
Yep.
But he was so passive, he went, lad, you know what? We're not good enough, basically, to be here. We can't compete.
Yeah.
So it's not like even saying to a player, what happened to you tonight? You were terrible tonight. You're better than that. It was saying, don't worry, son. You're not that good anyway.
But he's kept that whole theme up all the way through the Champions League. Every game, every pumping that we've had, he's come out and said the exact same stuff over and over and over again, which for me is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
And it's an argument that you'll never get to the end of, because he'll tell you that it was miscommunication or that finances are the be all and end all. But again, that opens up the other can of worms where we then start asking, so why are we not doing it to the teams in Scotland that we've got that same financial gap with? But Mark, thank you very much for your call, mate. I'll let you go, and please give us a call back again in the future.
No worries, guys.
Cheers, mate.
All
Thank
best,
you.
Mark.
Right.
For me, it's all about perspective. So I mean, that mob, yeah, they got 2 points, but they've been battered as well. They got battered by Real Madrid. But the fact that their manager comes out and says, well, we had a go, they're not getting as much grief because that's the perspective they're setting.
Yeah. Well, we had another caller there while I was on the phone. Number ending in 0467. If you want to give us a call back, I'll make sure I catch you this time. But in the meantime, JD, I wanted to bring up this comment I seen here. Maybe I'm defensive of our podcast, but I don't think we are full of it. See, I get what people are saying if we'd have let Kent Morelos go, but if we'd have got £17 million for Morelos at the time and went and reinvested that in the squad, do you think we as a fan base would have been gone mental?
I remember in that moment, I'm going to speak for myself, in that moment, I probably would have been unhappy. I think hindsight's a good thing. Now, I've said it 2 or 3 times in the pod now, we're not back 17 million for Morelos, but the 17 million Morelos, we would never have thought. I wanted 30 million for him. So I didn't want 17 million for Morelos. I thought that was a terrible deal. But we didn't know this is where it was going to go, the avenue it was going to go. We were on the top of the world here. We were wanting 20, 30 million per player. So I get what the call, I get what the comment says. I probably agree with that, but because I remember in the moment saying, "Oh no, we'll not take 17 million, no way." And probably in that moment, understand why the board rejected it. If we maybe got offered a wee bit more, they might have took it. But this is where it all goes back to the. I mean, Gerard's problem here being, I don't want to sell players, but he was an inexperienced manager. And Alex Ferguson and Locksmith, I went like that. Now's the time to refresh your squad.
Yeah.
Don't care if it's this player or that player we get.
How many times did Ferguson do it?
And I think a decent board, footballing men would have recognised that as well. And we had inexperience at every avenue, and that probably cost us to put us to where we are now.
We've got another caller on who I am about to bring in. Caller ending 467. Who's that?
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who's that?
It's Steve.
How are you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. How are you guys?
All good, Steve.
All good.
What's your point for the panel?
Yeah, all that is really, listen, I've got a bit of a list for you. Have a listen to this. Jack Simpson, Scott Wright, Manguna Zangu, Etten, Glenn Middleton, Brandon Barker, George Edmondson, Jordan Jones, Jamie Murphy, Greg Docherty, Matt Polster, Jake Hasty, Florian Cumberry, Aaron Ramsey, Zakowski, Diallo, Lacuna, Afobo, Matondo. That's since 2021, since we won the 55. Who's responsible for this?
Fucking shocking.
Systematic failure
Wilson.
of the signing policy. They might not have cost much in signings, but every one of them costs wages.
Shocking.
What do you think of that, guys?
Craig, I'll bring that to you, mate. It's a damning indictment of our scouting department, and when you listen to a lot of the signings, even your Jordan Jones or Jamie Murphys, we're talking free transfers here. It's the market we've shopped in. What's your opinion on that, Craig?
It's like a who's who of don't buy those footballers. I mean, the only one who gets a pass is the lad from Bournemouth, who obviously hasn't ever played for us, and that's the only reason he gets a pass. It's because he's never actually been able to play. Most of them players you wouldn't buy if that was your choice. You wouldn't buy them, and that comes down to Ross Wilson and the board. And that's why if they did get rid of Gio, I don't trust them to bring a new manager in that's going to do anything differently.
Mark, just to play devil's advocate here, and I like saying that because Martin always says it when he's hosting the phone in, playing devil's advocate. I would argue when we signed, the day we signed Aaron Ramsey, the day we signed some of the players, we were shouting for the rooftops to say how good they were going to be at Rangers. So I feel as if Ross Wilson has brought people to Rangers who have been excited about the day we signed them, and they've not quite worked out. So playing devil's advocate, does that come down to the management not getting the best out of these players?
Yes and no. I think that when you're shopping in a bargain basement, you're hoping that these players are going to kick on. You're hoping that you can make these players better. You're hoping that these players can progress under managers and stuff like that. But what's happening is if you're bringing in frees, you're bringing in very, very minimum fees for these guys, which a lot of them, I'd love to know how much was spent bringing these guys in, because I don't think it was an awful lot. So for me, unless you're going to spend the money to bring in proper quality, then you're not going to get it. It's just a case that it's a roll of the dice, and that's what's happening. What you're doing is you're going like, these guys have got potential. They've done okay. Let's hope that they can come to us and kick on to another level, which basically they've not done. Majority of them have not done that. But if you go and spend, rather than bringing in 20 of bargain basement and hoping one or two of them stick and become better. For me, what I would say is that's false economy. What I would say is if you go and spend decent money on a decent player for a certain position, then you know you're buying what's closer to the finished article. So, as I said, it's just a pond we're fishing in. Simple as that. You're hoping rather than knowing that these guys are going to come on and kick on. You go and spend, like I Veerman's the best thing I can bring to this. We're looking at Veerman. Everybody that's looked at Veerman's went like, wow, what a player. Exactly what we need, exactly what we're after. But we weren't willing to spend the money on him. Simple as that. We'd rather bring in somebody that's a free agent, or all right, we'll only spend 2 million, or we'll spend, don't get me wrong, we'll spend 3 million in a player. But that 3 million player, the difference between that and the quality that you're going to get spending that wee bit extra, I would rather this summer, us spent the money we spent, 12 million, in 2 players or 3 players, and enhance our first team, enhance our squad with real quality. But that's not what we've done. We spread that about 7 players, which is the exact same as what we've done previously. So it's the old saying, the definition of madness is doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Mark, I'm not.
What do you expect to happen?
Just to bring that round, and I'll take it back to the caller to get your opinion. I'm going to get a notepad to take names because there's so much going on trying to host this. I don't know how Martin does it. I should be writing down names. But you're talking there spending £12 million on 2 or 3 players. I would argue that this summer that's what we did do. Ridvan, Matondo, that's £9 million on 2 players, and then the 2 of them can get a start. Surely that's a worry. We're spending money on the wrong players. We need everybody this season, and Colin, I'll bring this back to you. Pre-season, everybody on this podcast, well, I certainly said we needed a first choice goalkeeper. See the 5 million we spent on Ridvan, we still went and bought a goalkeeper, a young progressive goalkeeper for Europe who can do it all, who can save shots, collect crosses, and play with the ball at his feet. Would you go ahead with that, Colin?
Yeah, definitely. I think 40-year-old Alan McGregor, I mean, he's been great for the time he's been with us. But I mean, what was that show at Hampden at the cup final? What was that all about? I mean, surely that would have been his swan song then. And go out and get a young, hungry goalkeeper who's, ready to make a step up to Rangers. We've all heard the thing about, the shirt being too big and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we are where we are. We're in the Scottish League at the end of the day, and this thing about bringing in players that the shirt's too big for them and you've got to move them on. I mean, I know it's Rangers, but what's so hard? What's so big about playing? Your St Johnstones and your Kilmarnocks and your thing like that. I mean, I hear a lot of that they can't handle the situation that Rangers is, but. I mean, surely I can't understand the whole shirt's too big for you thing.
No, I'm big for that, though. I agree with that. We've seen great through 9 in a row, through all that. Players came that we all wanted. Hundreds of players have came. It's a different scenario. You're comfortable in your place where you're the best in the business, and then you come to another. You move up the way, or you go to another company, and you're not that person anymore. You're just another wee fish in the pond. Or you come in a player and there's an expectation than there is at Ibrox than there is at Tynecastle. And there's an expectation, and that's a psyche in a person's mindset. They start getting injuries. Andy Webster, Scottish internationalist, flying, comes to Rangers, doesn't kick a ball, injured all the time. Walter Smith, someone came out and said a lot of his injuries were in his head. That's came out quite a lot. You see it happening a lot. It's happened at Rangers quite a lot. These boys come to Rangers and they just can't. And it might only be playing St Johnstone, St Mirren, cup games, but the expectation that we carry, and listen to us, we've got podcasts coming out with our ears about Rangers, the expectation it brings these boys in their psyche and their mentality just can't make a step up. You've seen worse players probably come to Rangers and do better than better players because of that mentality, I think.
Like Salenko, Stefan Givash.
Before we move on, because there is quite a lot of comments coming in, I said there go and spend £5 million on a goalkeeper, a proper goalkeeper. My words get twisted quite a lot on this, Craigie. You've probably seen on things. I said Xander's better than the 3 goalies we've got. I never said Xander's the best goalie Rangers could ever get. If we'd have went and signed Xander and Siegrist on a pre-contract, we would have had 2 better goalies than the 3 we've got. But I'm not saying Xander and Siegrist are good enough. I think we should have went and looked at the goalie that always stood out to me. We talk about Knutson, the gaffer. The Bodo Glimt goalie when Celtic played them was outstanding over 2 legs. There's got to be good young goalies about the place that we could have went and got rather than spending £5 million on Ridvan, who spent half a season no playing. Would you go along with that, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one I would have gone for, and he probably would have been happy to stay where he was as number 2, would have been Butland. Maybe he wouldn't have come to us for the money, but it's worth a shout. And then maybe they did. Maybe they did inquire, and maybe he knocked him back and said, "No, I'm not coming to Scotland."
You're offering these boys Champions League football, Craig. You know what I mean? Why would you not?
That's the thing. That's the personal pride. So if he's got a choice of sitting on the bench at Crystal Palace or wherever he is, or playing in front of 50,000 people every 2 weeks, personal pride, you think would go for that. You don't know what people's motivations are. And maybe they did inquire, and maybe he did knock him back, but he would have been the one that I would have gone for because I've always thought he's a very good goalkeeper. And
there's also the boy, and I know, obviously, because Xander was linked with him, the boy that went to Preston, Freddie Woodburn, dynamite, could have got him on a free. Given the choice of going to Preston or coming to Rangers, I don't think there's much of a choice in that. Is there? Coming knowing you're going to be the number 1. But caller, I'm going to let you go because we've had a caller ending in 0467 trying to get through for the last wee while. All right, so thanks very much for your call. And
no worries. Thanks very much, guys. Keep up the good work.
Cheers.
All the best.
So if caller ending in 0467 wants to call back in, that will do us for the phone in, I think, and then we'll have a wee chat between ourselves. Oh, here they're coming in right now. Right, I'm going to bring them right in, all right? Hello, caller.
You all right, guys?
Who's that?
It's Ali, boy.
How you doing, mate? All right? What's your...
no, mate, you're an absolute legend, by the way, mate. I watch this every single night that you're on. JD, mate, excellent.
Listen, it has been said on many a podcast that without me and JD, the viewership would be terrible. It has been said.
Mark's all right, too, though. Mark the Blue Laird, he had his own day, mate. He has his own.
Mark's his own wee sayings, isn't he? He likes to rip the plaster off it, doesn't he?
Yes.
Anyway, guys, I've got a couple of questions for you.
Right, give us them one at a time then, and we'll go round the boys and get them answered.
Right. Looking at Rangers, right, since Ross Wilson's came in with the signings that they've got, do any agree that Rangers playing in the Premier League, there's a lot of players that Rangers could have signed and they've no signed and missed out on big time, like say the boy at Hibs for £1 million that went away to Turkey.
Yep. I'll take that right to you, JD, because I see you looking there. I'm taking it the Hibs player you're talking about. Who is it? The striker.
Aye, the striker. The winger boy, and he came back to Hibs no long ago there on the free. Boyle.
Saudi. He went to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, sorry, but it's all the same to me.
JD, I've made this point a few times, having only watched one team, St Johnstone. Ali McCann, Jason Kerr would both have done jobs for us. Do you agree with the caller there?
I don't agree on Martin Boyle. No, I wouldn't have him. We've got him. Okay, let me step back.
I think
Matondo, Martin Boyle,
and the money we spent, Matondo, Jamie Murphy, Ryan Kent. I think he's better than all them.
No. I don't think he's better. By the way, Jamie Murphy's getting a bit of heat tonight. I thought Jamie Murphy was a great player for us. He just got a bad injury. Kent's better than Boyle. Boyle is effective in Scottish football, so that's the difference. Right, so he would have done a job in Scottish football.
2 seconds, caller. Let JD finish so that we're not getting the back interference.
I think he would have done a job in Scottish football, Boyle. I wouldn't have took Martin Boyle, right? I don't like him, right? And there's probably an obvious reason why I just don't like the guy, right? And that's it. But there are Scottish players out there we should have went for. The boy Doig for me, I would have took him.
I definitely.
Ross has nailed it. Ali McCann, probably next summer or the summer after, he's going to go for 20 million. He'll go to Bournemouth, or he'll go to a lower league Prem side, or he'll go to a top championship side for Preston. Maybe 10, 20 million, something like that. That's the way the money goes down there. I would have took Ali McCann. I would have took Jason Kerr and all. I would have took Xander and all, not David Ross. I would have took him. There's boys. Lewis Ferguson splits it. But again, why would you not just take him? Rangers were famous for taking all the best players in Scotland. There's Calvin Ramsey debuting for Liverpool. Why did we not buy him? Aaron Hickey before he went to Bologna. We should be in that market. And I think Gerard lost that market a little bit, but we got the Bassies and we got the Aribos. What market are we in now? We're in Belgium and we're in fucking God knows where now. So maybe we should go back to the Scottish leagues and just start pilfering all the boys.
Craigie, do you go along with that? You like to see us be dipping into the players that know the league and know. See, for me, JD, going back to your point, see a Lewis Ferguson that would have walked through a broken glass to play for Rangers, and he walks into this Rangers team, Craig. Surely, Lewis Ferguson walks into this Rangers team.
I think with Gerard coming in, JD was right that he's raised the level a bit to the players we want to look at, but that now means that we're a bit like, oh, we don't want him from Aberdeen, we don't want him from St Johnstone, when actually they might be the best player at that club and could definitely do a job for Rangers. Lewis Ferguson, Calvin Ramsey, Doig, players I'm sure for Hearts that are playing that you'd think they could come in and do a job, but we're like, I don't want to say snobby, but it's like we're better than that. But actually, the market we're in, we need to take the best players that we can before Lewis Ferguson smashing it up in Italy playing for Bologna now.
Mark, what's your thoughts on dipping into the Scottish market and making use of it?
We've over the years always took the best from Scottish clubs, and generally they kind of paid off. So for me, even the likes of that you said there, Lewis Ferguson is we're screaming out for a Lewis Ferguson at the moment, absolutely screaming out for one. So I think that what happened recently was a lot of Scottish clubs didn't really want to sell us any of their players for whatever reason, and they always priced us out of bringing in Scottish players.
2 wee seconds, Matt. Caller, have you got the show on in the background?
I have, yeah. Do you want me to pause it?
Gonna just mute it, mate. It's just we're getting a wee bit of feedback. It's not too bad, but just a wee bit. Sorry, Matt.
That's me muted it, buddy. Sorry.
Cheers, pal.
So, as I said, we were getting kind of priced out of the Scottish market a little bit as well, especially under Gerard, because they were asking for stupid money. But all of a sudden, they're now getting this stupid money. So maybe it was worthwhile when they were saying 1.5 million for Ferguson. It might have been worthwhile biting a hand off him because he went for 2.5.
Yeah.
So Lloyd went for 3.5. So Hickey is the same. So as I said, that they've kind of priced us out. But I think that rather than bringing in an unknown, if you've got a Scottish player or a player in this league, look at over the years the players that we've brought in: David Robertson, Nacho Novo, so forth, so on. That
Neil McCann,
Neil McCann done well.
Kevin Thompson,
Kevin Thompson, yeah. So for me, it was always a core Scottish spine in the team that knew what it was to play for Rangers, and I think we've lost that a wee bit. I mean, realistically, you've got Ryan Jack in there, but Ryan Jack's injured, so he's not in there shouting and bawling at people and telling them what it means. So I don't know. I mean, for me,
in Europe has been the blame of that, guys. That Rangers have maybe thought they're better than what they actually are, and stick to you don't break what's not getting broken. Get what I mean?
2 wee seconds, and I'll take that to you, Craig. What's your thoughts on that? Is it the Scottish players candidate in Europe, but yet we're seeing Josh Doidge, we're seeing Aaron Hickey, we're seeing Ramsey, we're seeing Lewis Ferguson?
No, I mean the fans. Sorry, I mean the fans, Gordy. Like the fans, I think we're better than what we actually are.
So that's what I'm saying. So we think that these players are not going to cut it in Europe, but yet the ones I'm talking about have all went to Europe and
Yeah,
tearing it up.
and
as
Rangers
far
fans
as we
looking
can
in the
see.
market, they don't really know, so they're taking risks.
Go along with that.
Yeah, I mean, spot on. We're asking players. These are players that our bread and butter is the league. These are players that know what it's like to play in the Scottish League 38 weeks a year. Yes, you can coach them to play in Europe and get them around better players. We need players that you bring in someone like a Matondo in, who is, to me, is quite lightweight in the league. Diallo came in, this amazing player with a great reputation, and shat the bed at Celtic Park his second game because he didn't know the atmosphere. Yes, Lewis Ferguson may not be technically as good as someone else, but he will know what it means to play week in, week out on plastic pitches up in Scotland.
You talk about the Diallo and the Matondo ones are good examples, because remember, was it Diallo's first game? Did he
Ross
score
County.
one at a back post at Ross County, and then he brought out a compilation clip?
Yeah.
And then Matondo's
Celtic.
signed, and he's got the lightning bolt, and he's doing all that kind of shit. We don't need any of that. We need boys. These boys came with a reputation that was never deserved. Diallo had played like 9 games and get moved for 35 mil. Someone done some job on that, some agent, money laundering or something on that, because that was what a move, right? The Matondo one as well, like, he's came here with a reputation, but he's never done it in FITBA. So I would much rather bring someone in who's solid in the SPFL, and you know that you know what you're getting. These boys are all unknown quantities, and it's a stab in the dark. At 300 grand, or a free transfer, or a loan, okay.
Jordan
Go
Jones,
to free
I think Rangers missed a beat with him.
I'm gonna come in on that. I loved Jordan Jones when he was at Rangers.
I did. I think we dealt with him. I think we used Jordan Jones as a coach for Rangers getting beat against Celtic. I think he was like we'll blame him. Get what I mean?
Jordan Jones was a victim of being a Rangers
He played
fan.
for the Sharp. He played for the Sharp.
He was the victim of being a Rangers fan who got put on as a sub late onto a doon and reacted the way. But then there's a responsibility Jordan Jones should have had as a professional football player to keep his cool. But
definitely,
listen, there's more to Jordan Jones in that one moment. Jordan Jones,
and he had the COVID. He had the COVID issue
didn't
as
have
well.
the psychology, didn't have the mentality to play for our club, and that's the sad fact.
Attitude was a big thing.
Listen, boys, I just love a nutcase, mate, because nutcases love nutcases. Joey Garner, Jason Cummings, these them all. These are the fucking loonies.
All the terrible players.
Aye, Joey Garner, we got him to number 1, but didn't we? Listen, Colin, I'm going to let you go, mate, because we are now at nearly 9 o'clock, and I'm just going to summarise with the boys ahead of the game tomorrow, all right?
Thank you very much, boys, and it's great to talk to you.
Thanks very much.
Bye. Thank you.
And with that, boys, my
dinner's getting cold still.
The phone lines are closed. Just very quickly, 10-minute chat about tomorrow. JD, what's your thoughts tomorrow? What is it? In our lineup, do we stick with us 2 sitting but letting the 2 fullbacks get forward? Is that the new formula for us?
No idea. I've not seen the Aberdeen game, but I've seen the goals. I was away out last Saturday, and I'm away out tomorrow and all. My 40th has lasted this long.
Sunday, innit?
Aye, JD was 40, everybody. Look at
I'll still not see it on Sunday because I'll still be partying, Mark. So it's a 12:30 kickoff, innit? So I'll definitely not see it. So I'm not sure. We shouldn't be going to Perth and play anything more than one defensive-minded midfielder, which should probably still be a person who wants to break lines. Come on, we don't need them to be sitting. So is Lundstrom back?
Yeah.
He's back.
Lundstrom's back. Lundstrom's your man. Get him back in there. Let's get John Lundstrom back on track. But we don't need anyone else in there. But we're running out options in the back. So, but it's nothing less than a win, innit? I mean, come on.
It's got to be. Listen, my mate Garant there is shouting at his computer monitor in caps, bold letters. It's been a long night. I've been the hostess with the mostess for the first time ever. I've got fucking screams going left, right and centre. The speakers are blasting out into the house. Nicole's in the room hiding because she's a jungle gym hearing all the Rangers chat. Listen, It's all happening. My apologies. What's your thoughts? What you sticking with Mora for
Yeah,
me?
I agree with JD. It's got to be one. It's got to be one City midfielder, Lundstrom. I wouldn't be
It's
surprised
Sunday.
to see. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Arfield playing as a bit of a hybrid between the defensive and the pushing on. Now that to me isn't right because he probably hasn't got the legs, but that sort of player, maybe Charlie McCann coming in alongside Lundstrom. We kind of need to play one sitting, one attacking, and one going between the two for me. I don't think we got much choice in the rest of the team. I think it's very much bare bones. But yeah, we just need to get to the World Cup for me and get some of these players back.
Mark, I don't care if we are down to the bare bones. The 11 players we play on Sunday will be better than the 11 players who play for St Johnstone. Also, by the way, on Sunday. So if we win our personal battles, we win the game. Surely that's the way it is. And surely on this, Craig there's talking about bringing Arfield in. Surely that's Lowry's position to go in there and get that advanced role. Surely.
You read my mind. For me, my midfield three is Lundstrom, Lowry, and Tillman. And I'm playing Sakala, and I'm telling Sakala, just you do what you do. You just get the ball, get your head down, and start running at them. Look for Lowry and Tillman to make things happen. You've got to go after this mob, 100%. It's for me. This is whether Gio gets a sack or not. So he's got 3 games to keep his job, as far as I'm concerned. And I think if he slips up in any of the next 3, then he's in trouble, big time. I think he's in trouble now anyway. But as I said, for me, Lowry's got to start with Tillman and Lundstrom tidying up. That's got to happen.
JD, before I come to you, mate, a big applause for Jim Sloan, who's put in a £10 super chat. Well done, Ross. Easy the famous, full of all, lads. Now, that's a sympathy tenner he's gave me because of the stress I've been under. That much is true. Judy, I've said a few times, we're developing Malik Tillman for Bayern Munich because I don't see us paying 5-6 million, whatever the cost is for him. Is there an argument for our midfield three tomorrow, Sunday? Fucking tomorrow.
What day is it? What day's the game?
Is there an argument for us on Sunday to play Lundstrom sitting with McCann and Lowry in front of him and start progressing our own youth?
Yeah, that's for me. I think Lowry and Tillman are too similar. I don't think we'll ever play 2 number 10s. I don't think it really works in football, to be honest. So one of them has to do a more of a regressed role, which Tillman's never going to do. And I just think Alex Lowry's too good to put him back into there. I'd put Alex Lowry feeding the ball. Can you imagine Lowry feeding the ball to Cholak, sorry. Unreal. So I would, but does it not mean that McCann would play the most further back and then Lundstrom would maybe play the more box to box, what the type of player he used to be? Because he scored goals in the Prem and stuff like that. Charlie McCann, I thought, looked a wee bit out of sorts when he played he started the game and he played a bit further forward. So I think Charlie McCann's a boy who could sit most deep, a bit more like Billy Gilmore is what I see Charlie McCann like.
Here's another option. You didn't see the game, JD.
Craigie,
Aberdeen game.
Don't interrupt and I'm hosting, mate. I was about to come to you. Sit down and pipe down, man. Jesus Christ.
Would you play Lundstrom as the more advanced and have Sands sitting? Because he played that against Aberdeen.
Well, you could, but we've not got the centre half. I thought Sands played okay in the other night as well. By the way, at centre half, I didn't think he played too bad. So you could play Sands in there. I just don't think Sands really gets MDs. Just doesn't get the hairs in the back of your neck standing up, does he? Whereas I would rather play Charlie McCann in there. But I think you could play Sands in there, to be honest. But who plays in defence then if Sands doesn't play?
Well, Davies might be back.
I was going to say that. Is Davies back?
Davies and King.
Davies and King.
Yeah.
Seems like the I actually think, Craig, and this is what I was going to bring to you before you so rudely interrupted. If you've got Charlie McCann and Lundstrom there, does that add an air of unpredictability or something? Because the two of them can do that box to box, so when one goes, one sits, and it's harder to pick the two of them up. Does that become a ploy?
Yeah, I think the similar thing, Sands did it last week. So there was a couple of times where he brought the ball out and Lundstrom sat back. So I think that was the flexibility that they said if Rangers do want to go to suddenly play a free at the back for whatever reason, you've got Lundstrom and Sands who can both do that. Now, I'm not saying we have to do that on Sunday, the game, because we shouldn't have to do that against bloody St Johnstone. But you've got that. I like James Sands. For me, if we can get him, if it was £3 million, I'd buy him, because I think he gives us that. He's no nonsense, gives us that versatility to play a couple of different positions. And for this market nowadays, you don't get much quality for that sort of price. If we can get him, I'd definitely sign him up.
Mark, if it is the rumoured $5.5 million for Sands,
not that much.
Are we paying that for him? $5.5 million. You're looking at, and it was said at the start of the season that there's a potential ring fence around 10, 11 million for Sands and Tillman. Have you seen enough of them from them to warrant spending that amount of cash?
Definitely no from Sands. I think Sands is a good, solid squad player. I think he's a decent player. I think he's no that kind of money. That kind of money is stupid for me. I think that there's better players for that kind of money in that position out there, 100%. With Tillman, I think for me, I can see Tillman. I can see him improving, and I can see something special there with the boy. Now, whether we're going to start flinging $5 million at him, I don't really know. But look, you don't spend most of your career at Bayern Munich, and then Bayern Munich put a buyback clause into you if there's no something special there. All right, you maybe know I've seen it, but I think that probably he's not getting played properly with us. And you need to remember as well, this is this young boy's first full season as a professional footballer. And do you know what? For me, he's held his own pretty well. He's looked pretty decent in the odd game. Obviously inconsistent, but that's what happens with young boys. As I said, the young boy's played, 15 games or something in his career now? 16 games in his career. So I think give Tillman to the end of the season to see if he can kick on a wee bit more, then possibly. But for me, Sands is not a £5 million player. As much as I like him, he's not a £5 million player.
Just before we round up, if everybody in the chat wants to get their predictions and first goal scorers in, JD, I always come back to the two ends of the park. McGregor and Cholak in both boxes. Scotty stick with that, eh?
Aye, I think he will. I think that's it for McLaughlin now. After the Celtic game, so McGregor's going to need to play. I don't know if he's got a decision though on that, Ross, to make if he stops diving for the ball continuously and may lose another couple of games. It might lose him his job if he doesn't make another change, but he can't make another change again. For me, Rangers win 2-3-0. There's only one guy that scores the first goal, and it's Cholak, innit?
It's got to be. Everybody will go Cholak first goal scorer, so are we going to elaborate on how many of the 2 or 3 is going to score?
No.
Craigie, what's your thoughts on the goalkeeping situation and the striking situation for tomorrow?
Yeah, it's got to be Cholak. No other option. McGregor, I think, gets it at the moment just for being the least bad of the 3. For me, weeks ago, I'd have probably just gone and chucked McCrory. And there's a couple of games at Dundee in the League Cup where once he didn't play, it's like, well, they obviously don't see much for him. I think he's only signed a new deal because he meets the Scottish quota for the European competition, which is really harsh on the young lad because the couple of times he played last season, he played really well. But McGregor, for me, I'm going to go 3-1 and Sakala first goal.
Lovely. Mark, you going along with that?
I think McGregor's, whether we like it or not, McGregor's the number 1. I think that if he changes in any way, deviates for that, he's going to look even more a tit than he already has by dropping him, then bringing him back. So Cholak's got to start up front. I think that I've said it many times. If you're in form, you're the man. He's SPFL Player of the Month. So he's got a wee award. He should be on a high. The big Croatian Prince to score the first goal and Rangers 2-0.
It's a fine prediction. Listen, JD, I need to mention it because Nicholas is a massive supporter of this channel. The South Wales Loyal are always the first here. But Nicholas obviously knows how good he believes Matondo is through the Welsh national team and whatever else. But I still think we are still to see the best of this boy. Would you agree with that, JD?
100%. Baby, listen, there has been wee flashes. He won the pen, didn't he?
Yeah.
There has been wee flashes, but he's still not good enough. I think our club, when you're spending 3 million or 5 million, you talk about Ridvan and you talk about Matondo, we need finished articles now. You want a project player, it's your 300 grand for your Arebos and your Bassies, that's your project players. 3 and 5 mil, we need 5 mil. I'd pay 5 mil for Tom Lawrence Namora if we had to. And that's a finished article, a guy who looks like he could take the captain's armband when he comes back fit. Hits your free
Can I tell you a
kicks.
story about Matondo?
Eh?
Can I tell you a story about Matondo that I've heard?
Yeah.
So, story I've heard is Matondo spent all sorts of money. See, before the Liverpool game, spent all sorts of money bringing his hairdresser up to Liverpool, flew him up and spent 4 hours getting his hair done before the Liverpool game. So for me, that's an attitude issue, big time with this boy. I've also heard that the boy is not well liked at all at the club.
No surprise.
So that might be why he's struggling. That's all I'm saying. It's just what I've heard.
But maybe with that one, if they bring him back down to earth and he focuses on his fitba, then that could be the big thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm all about Nicholas and supporting our channel friends. So I'm going to say that you've made that up because you're jealous that somebody actually has the time for a barber.
Yeah, I was at the barber's today. Check it out, man. Look.
Yeah, so was I. Went in and asked for the Raoul Moat, as I do. Listen, I'm gonna go Rangers 3-1 tomorrow, and I'm gonna go Stevie May first goal scorer. I think we'll go behind again, boys. I think we will go behind tomorrow. Sunday. I keep saying tomorrow, man. He's at Mars. I think if we go a goal down tomorrow, there'll be all sorts of trouble because we're not even fucking playing. But if I reckon we'll go a goal down again. Slow start. Everybody stops shouting at me. I can see it in the chat.
Can I just say something, Ross? £23 is to get my haircut.
Aye.
Folk are saying that doesn't cost me anything. £23 for a haircut, it cost me.
Did it not take you into the Mega Bowl and turn you upside down in the ball polisher?
Anyway, come on, an hour and 45 minutes.
I know, listen.
Come on.
Again, Craigie, well done on your first podcast, mate. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Well done, mate.
Yeah.
What we Mark and Craig in the comments, troops, let us know out of 10. I'm saying a 5. Must do better.
Aye.
5.
A 5.
I'm
a Ridvan.
JD's probably giving him a 5 because he's not the only knob with a mannequin in the background now, right enough. But listen, I know in 45 minutes, boys. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will be back on Sunday for pre-match, half-time, and after-match reaction. So,
stalling this.
Ross is trying his best to find the fucking video, man. That outro, he's fucking flipping through. Members shows, everybody, get on the members shows. Special announcements on the members shows. And bye-bye.